notified every time we go live. All right, let's waste no time, man. Let's get into it. The big news of the day. I first seen it come across the wire from Ari Mirov over on X. He tweeted out, breaking, the Cowboys are releasing cornerback Trevon Diggs per Todd Archer. Okay, so make sure you guys go give that a like, a retweet, all that good stuff. Let's support those guys for breaking the news. But again, Trevon Diggs, when you hear the name, you've probably got some people are like, whoa, Trevon Diggs is available, you know? And you think about how our defense has struggled here lately with all the injuries that have piled up, right? Why did he get released? That's the first question. Do we have an answer to that, right? Was it just his play? Was it a combination of things, right? Is he still playing at an all-pro level? Was that something that was just kind of lightning in a bottle? Did he play at an all-pro level for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? How, you know what I'm saying? So when you kind of take everything, you got to put all this information into one basket, and you got to make an educated decision on whether or not you would add him to your roster. And again, that's what we try to do on this particular program. We like to kind of look at things through the eyes, through the lens, through the viewpoint of the team, the front office, the coaching staff, and the players in the locker room, right? We try to give that kind of opinion, not just our personal opinion on whether we like a player or not, kind of look at the whole picture, if that makes sense, right? So let's I see the chat's already on fire. Appreciate everybody jumping in here. You guys talk about it in there. Let everyone know your opinion on this potential signing for the Packers, as obviously he's available. Now, why is he available, right? Which leads me to the next tweet here, which Tom Pelissero put out, and it kind of perked my ears up a little bit like, okay, what is going on here? As Tom Pelissero tweeted out, my understanding is Diggs' release was not a result of a specific incident. That's good news, right? He didn't go in there and slap somebody in the facility. It was the culmination of multiple factors spread over time. That's not good news, okay? That said, he's been a knucklehead for quite some time, right? Including both performance and other elements. What in the world does other elements mean? That's the big question, right? The team felt it was best for both Trevon and the Cowboys to move on at this point. So, what does that mean? Does anybody got any rumors in the chat? Does anybody got any scuttlebutt in here? Let us know if you know anything about why did they let him go, man? What was the reason for this? And again, it sounds like the way that tweet is structured, there's been some problems in the past. I know that's what Jason Wise is saying here in the chat. Equals locker room problem. Could be, right? Now, keep in mind, and I'm trying to keep, again, you guys probably know which direction I'm going, whether I would sign him or not. We'll talk about that here in a second, and we'll kind of break the numbers down. But if I were to play devil's advocate for just a second, remember Micah Parsons had this little cloud over his head too, like, oh yeah, he's not a good locker room guy. He's got the podcast, and his player and his teammates don't like him, and blah blah blah. All that ended up being complete BS, right? Been a great locker room guy when he got to Green Bay. The teammates love him. He completely revamped everything when he got there. He was just an absolute hit, right? So what is the locker room problem? That's the big question right now. Also, J. Cole mentioned something very important here, very interesting, not important, but interesting. That was his brother that got in trouble for assault allegations. Don't know if he is involved. See, that's another thing, too. It's awful weird that Stefon Diggs, all of a sudden, bang, a report comes out from an incident that evidently happened on December 2nd, that charges were filed on, allegedly, I was going to say allegedly, on Stefon Diggs for choking somebody or something, right? So assault charges have been filed there, or at least the early process of that. I know his lawyer was on via a Skype call or a phone call with the judge, with the court system this morning, if I understood correctly, from Boston 25, I think was reporting on that. Isn't it weird that pops up with Diggs, Stefon Diggs, and then his brother Trevon Diggs gets released a few hours later? Am I the only one that thinks that's kind of strange, right? And like I said, don't know if he was involved. We have no reason to believe he's involved, other than that's just a weird situation, right? Jerk Tomez in the chat says drama. Hey, I'm with you, man. I am with you. So again, let's see what else we got. He says injuries, so maybe there's been some injury problems there as well. Let's see here, Hector. This seems to be the common theme on Twitter. Just combing through and looking at some of the comments around whether the Packers should sign someone like Trevon Diggs. It seems like everybody's like, hey, man, for $400,000, $500,000, which I think is what the cap hit would be if you sign him to a minimum contract. As Hector says here in the chat, we should put him on a prove-it deal. I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right? What do you got to lose? I can understand that standpoint. Now, would he accept that? I don't know, right? I don't know at all. So just kind of combing through here. Yeah, absolutely we will. Jason says, Clayton, can we look at his PFF grade? We'll look at everything. We'll look at the passer rating when targeted too, okay, which is something that Reza, you're out of control. Reza says we needed that aggression. Sign him. LMAO. No, we don't need that kind of aggression, sir. That will not be tolerated on this particular program. So let's look at all the information. So I immediately, you know how I nerd out over this stuff. I try to make an educated decision on whether or not I would want a player. I am amazed at how many people just jump right in and said, do it, do it, do it, do it, without even looking at any of the numbers. And everybody can fan how they want. But I said Trevon Diggs has been released by the Cowboys. Should the Packers sign him? Let's take a look. If Diggs was on the Packers roster, here is where he would rank. Now, you guys know we cover all the bases. We like to watch the tape. We look at some of the NFL Pro data. Passer rating when targeted is one of my favorite stats. Just like passer rating, I feel like is a good starting point for how a quarterback's performing. It's not the end all be all, right? But if you were to sort stats in the quarterbacks of what's their passer rating, that gives you a good indicator. Okay, these top 20. Now let's dig a little deeper, right? Let's look at the adjusted completion percentage. How accurate are they? Let's look at their decision making in terms of protecting the football. Let's see. I like to look at the win-loss total. I know some people don't like to do that. I like to know, all right, are they winning ball games with them at the helm? Because that means they got to be making some consistent decisions that is making a little bit of a difference for the team they're on, right? So I like passer rating when targeted for defensive players and more specifically defensive backs and in coverage linebackers, stat backers, things like that. So passer rating when targeted. If you're a Trevon Diggs fan, you might want to look away. A perfect 158.3 is what quarterbacks passer rating is when they target Trevon Diggs. So now let's cross-check that. PFF grade. If he were on the Packers roster, first of all, that 158.3 obviously would be dead last for the Packers, okay? If he were on the Packers roster, the PFF grade, 56.1, he would be the 8th best defensive back. He would be the worst corner and the 8th best defensive back, with only Zane Anderson having a lower or a worse passer rating, or I'm sorry, PFF grade, a lower PFF grade. I think it's in the 40s if I remember correctly. So I've got all the images here. We'll just take a quick little look. So Trevon Diggs, this is where he's at on the season, okay? His PFF grade starting in week 1, and it looks like he did miss time after week 6 all the way up to week 16, but his PFF grades were a 70, solid, right? 42, 55, 83, that was against Green Bay. Don't you love it? 61, 47, 52, 55 for a PFF grade this year of 56.1. Okay, now let's go to the career. Does this match? Does that 56.1 match up with the consistent look of his career? I like to look at it that way, right? And when you take a look at that, let's start his rookie year in 2020, 62. That's a little bit higher than at 56, right? 58, that's right there in the ballpark. 67, all right, we're getting better. 80.7, that was probably the all-pro year there in 2023, I would imagine. 80.7, that's a solid grade because it's a great grade. Then in 2024, right back down to a 56. This year, 56. One of these do not belong, right? One of these don't. One of these are out of line here is what I'm trying to say, okay? 80.7 probably don't belong there. Looks like a little bit of a fluky year. Now, again, why the people that are saying, hey, I say give him a shot for a minimum, I can understand that. What are you hurting, right? You got Kamal Hadden out for the year now, right? And when you kind of look at everything globally, would it hurt to add a veteran in there and someone who's friends with Micah? Sure, as long as there's no off-the-field problems. Now, if you're one that goes, hey, man, if everywhere you go it smells like crap, you might want to check your boot. I can understand that too, man. Maybe he brings a little too much drama to him everywhere he goes. Let's go to the next image here. So when you look at the PFF grades for the Packers defensive back room, and we're going overall defensive grade here. You can sort it by coverage if you guys want to go check it out. But McKinney, 80.6. Evan Williams, 70.8. Kamal Hadden, God, it sucks that he got hurt, man. And I know it was only 37 snaps, but I really want to see him get a few more snaps. 67.6. Keyshawn Nixon, 67.2. Out of our healthy cornerbacks, I know everybody wants to rake Keyshawn Nixon over the coals, and I've been critical too, not playing the assignment. He's got the highest PFF graded at 67.2. Carrington Ballantyne, 65.7. Javon Bullard, 63.5. Nate Hobbs, 61.7. And then, of course, you got the safeties, Katano Oladapo to 60.9 and Zane Anderson at 49.5. Oladapo only 2 snaps there. Zane Anderson only 22. But again, where would he fall in? Excuse me. Trevon Diggs would fall in next to last in 8th place, essentially. Well, I guess it would be 9th place, adding, there would be 10 on this total list. He would be 9th. Zane Anderson will be 10 with the PFF grade. And again, when it comes to passer rating when targeted, you'll notice the column over there says NFL. That's the passer rating when targeted for all of our corners and all of our DBs in general. So if you just focus on the corners, the best one on the roster in terms of, passer rating when targeted, according to PFF's statistics here, Kamal Hadden at a 91.7, Javon Bullard 92.7, Keyshawn Nixon 104.7, Carrington Valentine 109, and then Nate Hobbs, of course, at a 125.3. So the 158.3 of Trevon Diggs would be dead last on the roster. I don't say this to try to deter people from getting excited about potentially signing someone like Trevon Diggs. If, again, there's nothing off the field that would keep you from doing that. I'm just simply laying out all the details here. The idea that he's going to make this cornerback room significantly better, I mean, you got to show me. The way he's played this year has been really, really bad, really bad. And again, when targeted is the stat I like. If you're just going off PFF grades, you can go, okay, did someone else miss an assignment? Is there a little bit of muddy water there? We talk about PFF all the time in that regard. However, when you look at it as a whole, that means he was the closest defender. They were targeting him, and the quarterbacks are perfect at a 158.3. Man, that's just not a good look, in my opinion. So, again, that's how everything looks for the Trevon Diggs front. I'm curious to know what everybody thinks in the chat, and I apologize for the voice, guys. I don't know how long this is going to go on. We're fighting it, but I feel like we're losing this battle for sure. So let us know in the comments. What do you think? Would you want to sign him right now? Everybody in the comments, let me know yes or no as quick as possible. And we'll kind of hit these rapid fire here. Let's see here. Enrique, I think it's right. Enrique, I hope I'm saying that right, bud. We need him or our cornerbacks sucks. Well, as we showed you, this year he sucks worse than our cornerbacks. So again, I can understand, though, giving him a shot. I got you. Joe Pack Joe says in all caps, yes, sign him. There's an interview with Diggs when he asked if Micah tried to recruit him, and all he did was laugh. All right, got it. J. Cole says, I just want us to sign a damn corner. I don't care who it is. We have 3 right now on the team. That's a valid point, too. Valid point right there. Ken James thought that was funny, obviously. Josh in the chat says, yes. Joe Pack Joe, all caps with a Z at the end of the Hails, yes. Josh Martin says no. All right, got it. J. Cole says with these injuries, all right. Jert says yes. Everybody, I mean, you see, guys, the majority of the people in here, large majority, are saying yes. All right. Lowe's Mel, hope I'm saying that right. Yes. Or can he tackle? I can't be any worse than what we've seen, right? That's for sure. Zach says correct, J. Cole. Josh says yes. We desperately need depth. So yes, says Chuck Goodman. So it looks like everybody, man, is kind of they're on board with the signing here if the Packers were to make this move. So if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, would you sign him? Is it, as I said right here about Mike, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Maybe you feel that way, right? Would you like to have him on the Packers? Would you not want him in the locker room? You're a little bit worried that maybe something might resurface there in terms of off the field stuff. We got to kind of let it play out a little bit too. I guarantee you, Goody's probably kicking the tires, or at least getting his investigators behind the scenes trying to figure out why they would cut loose a former All-Pro, other than the fact that it does look like he's been cheeks on the field this year. But let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. All right, let's shift gears